Hi guys.
Hi, it's Rebekah, Kochan, and Dante. Welcome.
Rusciolelli, or just Dante, it's up to you.
It's up to you. His stage name is just Dante.
Correct.
Thank you for joining us for the joys of Alzheimer's today. The joys of Alzheimer's.
It's a joy.
It's a joy. So we wanted to talk to you about something that we learned in our caregivers support group. How you're supposed to, you never ever tell somebody what they're thinking or saying is wrong, right? That's like a very
someone
basic.
with Alzheimer's.
Someone with Alzheimer's, right? I know that's a very like basic skill that but it's so important. Whatever they're saying, no matter how.
If you've ever taken an improv class, they say don't deny. Same with Alzheimer's.
Right, don't deny whatever, because whatever they're saying, that's what's actually happening in their brain. Even if it sounds completely insane, which it usually will be, or it's terrifying for you, just know that that's what's happening in their brain. So you just agree and then move on. And something one of our teachers said, support thing, was lying is okay when someone has Alzheimer's. You always just want to tell them whatever they need to hear to make them okay on the inside, because they're filled with so much angst and, they're scared. It has to be terrifying not knowing what's going on and feeling bad and not remembering why you're feeling bad and all that stuff. So you just want them to be in a calm, good place all the time.
So unfortunately, I went through this with my grandmother on my mother's side. Her name was Yolanda, and my grandma Yolanda was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in about 1988, and by about 1989 she lived in the condominium, thank God, right across from us in San Diego.
And this was way before good information was accessible to people, right?
Well, there was no internet, there was none of that.
Right.
Everybody was reading books that who knows how old.
And they didn't know anything.
I hate to say it, but
yeah,
Alzheimer's had just been called Alzheimer's before that, and people were still calling it old timers back then because they thought that's what it was. They're like, old timers disease. I'm like, no, it's called Alzheimer's.
Right, and this wasn't even that long ago. I mean, that's how far things have come since.
But anyway, obviously there have been a million more tests, and now they know that it has to do with plaque on the brain and buildup of that, and a million foods and exercises that help that they didn't know about back then. But here's what we knew back then. Back then, my grandmother would write a letter and then sign it from her old address in Illinois, not in San Diego, where they lived at the time. And my mother would come over and say, well, Mother, you don't live there anymore. And she'd go, well, of course we live here. We're here now. And she'd go, no, Mother, you're in San Diego.
Which
and
is
they would have an
normal,
argument about it, and it would go on and on and on. The 80s, when my grandmother had Alzheimer's, it was just a different time and a different method. And the methods
they didn't know anything. I mean, that's the thing. They didn't know anything. And they still know very little now, but they know how to make everyone's life more comfortable.
Correct. The methods that work with your dad are the methods that didn't work with my grandmother. Now with her dad, if he says, I love it here in Vegas, we go, it's great here in Vegas.
Right, or if he tells...
And who cares? Then we just move on.
He keeps telling people that he moved here straight from New York, even though he lived in Vegas for a long time after that.
And no need to correct him.
Right,
He's not going to remember the next time or the next time.
We don't need to... We just want them to be as happy as possible for the rest of their lives. That's it. They're just supposed to be as happy and feel good inside as they can, because, again, it has to be effing terrifying what they're going through. Just horrifically terrifying. So yeah, don't ever argue, whatever they say. Like, for example, he said to me the other day that he rescued this art piece from the Nazis.
Oh, he was born in 43.
Right. So I mean, that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah.
And we had a client of ours over, and he was like, "Wow, that's so interesting." And of course, I wasn't like, "That's not true." You know what I mean? I was just like, "Yeah, he rescued that from the Nazis. That's crazy." So, you just agree. Move on. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah. What other tricks did we learn this year that I don't think I knew back then?
Well, okay, so the Savvy Caregiver book, it's very, very informative. Like I said, I think in the last video, I highly recommend getting it from the Alzheimer's Association. There's all sorts of interesting tips and tricks. I also have an Alzheimer's companion on my phone. I'm looking to see what this app is called. Sorry.
If you're tuning in for the first time to our show, we live in Los Angeles, and Rebekah's father has Alzheimer's and lives with us.
So this app is from Home Instead, but it's quick tips and resources for managing Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Yeah, so it's a little like app that has basically the same tips and tricks to help you.
We were just talking about new methods that weren't around or accessible when my mom was taking care of my grandma, and my dad was. You know, here's the thing that's almost always not available. Humans. Everyone wants something from someone and tells you how much they love them until that person gets sick. I even feel guilty. I do. Because when someone is sick, you don't even know when you should call or what to say to them. Because if they are sick, what do you ask them about, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, we could do a whole episode just on how people said that families normally aren't very helpful.
Well, that's what we were going to talk about in the next episode is family and how to ask for things and how not to and all of those things. But, you know, basically the new rule, like we said at the beginning, is just don't deny. Just let it go. Let them say whatever they want and move on. Why are you fighting? You know, one thing that happened to my grandmother that was very old school, because back then people didn't treat people well back then. If you
well, they still
were
don't.
Different.
People are very ageist.
Well, right. But I'm just saying people understand now if you see an old person staring or something, you're like, oh, maybe they have dementia or else, you know. But this was new to people. And I remember in restaurants, people coming up to my mother all the time and screaming at my grandmother going, what the hell are you looking at? You've been staring at me all lunch. I'm thinking, oh my God.
People are the worst. At least they can be.
Right. But anyway, don't deny. Be nice to them and have patience.
Which is so
and be
hard.
nice to each other and give
And
yourself
yourself.
treats. Don't die before the person you're caregiving for. They say that most caregivers do.
That's an old statistic though. Now they know more. But yes, you have to. It used to be people a lot of times would die before the person with Alzheimer's just because it's such a nightmare and destroys people's lives, and that's why you do have to take care of yourself.
Yes. Take care of yourselves, you guys.